Hello and welcome to episode 7 of the Turning Base podcast. I'm your host, Bryan Redeker, and as always, joined by my brother, Bryan Redeker, who actually last week couldn't make it with us when we had Jen from Grand Haven, 3 Golf Mike, on here. Unfortunately, I'm sorry you missed that one.
Yeah, sometimes the day job gets in the way of the fun stuff. So, sorry I couldn't make that one, but I'm here today. And we're back in the hangar talking shop. What's on the flight plan today, Brendan?
Yeah, so we're going to kind of expand on a couple of things that we've talked about in the past, renting versus owning, building assets, stuff like that. So today we're going to kind of talk about one of the most valuable hidden assets that sometimes is sitting right there in your business, in your aviation business right now. And a lot of people, they're just kind of treating it like trash. They're not doing much with it. It's there. So we're going to be talking about your customer and your prospect list, your email list.
All right. So wait, this isn't about getting more likes or views on social. It seems like many flight schools, charter operators, FBOs, things like that, they are obsessed with trying to get that interaction with Facebook and social, right? They're talking about getting those likes and engagement that way.
Views.
LinkedIn the same way here. So they're spending thousands of dollars basically renting the audience from big tech.
Yeah. That is true, and we've kind of talked about our email list getting full, right? And there are influencers out there. Heck, we did it with Ford. We were kind of early influencers
before the term influencer ever
what was a
ever
thing.
Existed. There was no term for what we're doing for marketing a product and launching a product using social.
Right. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? That is important. It is great to be able to reach out using all of those social networks to be able to reach people that you couldn't reach otherwise. So there's nothing wrong with that. I follow a lot of influencers in the aviation industry, and I love what they're doing. And I think it helps our industry out, right? By showing kind of how some everyday people own airplanes and the fun things that they get to go do with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
From day to day. So I do love it. And I really, I hope someday we can get some of them on here actually to talk about it from that side, because I think that could be interesting. But when we kind of look at building your business and getting it to grow. So as direct response marketers, right, we want to send something out and we want people to respond to it. We kind of go, okay, you're building a hangar on rented land. So if that platform changes tomorrow or something happens to whatever social network you're using, it's gone. It's dead. So you started that relationship. However, you don't own that platform anymore. So if they change something, it's over. So you got to be able to get that information, get their name, their email, their number, whatever, and permission to talk to them. Get it into a system that you do actually own. That if something happens to that social network, right? Businesses come up and down, regulations change with the social media. You need to have a way to own that list. And that's really, really important.
Yeah, we've been around long enough that MySpace was still new and Twitter was new, and the countless numbers of photo sharing sites from the old forum days that are just gone. There's Photo Bucket and this and that and everything else, and all that stuff is lost. So if you built a following on one of those platforms and that platform was to go kaput tomorrow, you're out. You've lost everything. So you're talking about email lists here. And let's be real. I mean, everyone hates email. I mean, I think my Yahoo email, it's got like 16,000 unread messages in the inbox at the moment. My Gmail probably is around 1,600, and I try to clean that out daily and try to send most of that stuff into a junk folder so I don't see it. So a lot of times it's just like I'm just going to select all, delete, because I don't have time to read them. So why would I want to spend time to build something else like a newsletter or something that's going to go into an email?
Yeah, you bring up a really, really good point, and it's true. And we actually talked about that before. So people do get a lot of emails, and that is true. So why are we saying build an email list? Well, there's a lot of people that do it wrong, and there's a way that you can do it right. Some people are doing it right. And so if it's done right, it can be a gold mine. You could be sitting on a gold mine and not even realize it. So one of the things to keep in mind is that when you have that email list, you need to bring value, right? If you're just sending random emails all the time, yeah, people are going to be like, yep, delete,
Oh,
delete,
yeah.
delete,
Yeah.
or worse, they're going to unsubscribe, and now it's out, it's gone. So you got to have something that people are interested in that's going to bring them some value. I'm on a couple email lists that I look forward to every week when it comes in, because
Yeah,
they're
I would say so.
they bring something of value, whether it's just a good phrase or yeah, like one of them I love is actually the Sporties Fast Five that they send out every week. It's five quick things on aviation. It takes just a couple minutes to read, and it's really good. So you got to be able to bring something to them to go, yes, I want to be on this list. Yes, I am going to open them and read
Yep.
them.
I
So
see value,
yes,
because
yeah,
if your customer doesn't see value, it's going to be looked over, deleted, unsubscribed, junked, whatever, right? You need to capture them pretty quickly here. So let's
yes.
talk about the math on this, because we say it all the time that an ignored buyer never buys, right? So you need to engage them on this. So what happens to a pilot that walks into an FBO, gets fuel, a student is taking their first discovery flight,
Yeah,
and then they disappear, right?
then
They
they're gone.
ghost you as the FBO.
Yeah, so a lot of businesses, and really I've seen this a lot with aviation businesses, they kind of suffer from a lack of systematic follow up, right? We had already talked about follow up as one of the three main pillars, and we also talked about having systems in place. This is another one of those things where having a system in place, getting that follow up, because they assume that they didn't book their next lesson today or the charter flight, that door is closed. And that's not always the case, so don't always just assume the door is closed. You do kind of have to kind of stay in front of them a little bit to do those things.
Yeah, all the resources you put towards making that first contact and never
Yeah.
following up—that's a huge waste of revenue. So
Oh yeah.
they make the mistake of a quiet prospect for a dead lead, right? And the reality is people get busy, right? Life gets in the way. They get distracted by all the noise. Like I mentioned, I have so many emails and messages and everything else going on that I'm bombarded with 100 million different ways of people and companies contacting me. It just gets into the noise. So if you're not dropping a high value email or asset into their world, or my world in my example here
Yeah.
consistently, your competition will.
Yeah.
And I've seen that constantly, right? Let's say if you follow 5 or 6 different companies that are all about the same, right? There's usually one or two that are like kind of doing it right. They're
Yeah, you can
keeping
see
you
it.
engaged. They're keeping you interested. And there's usually like 2 out of that 5 that they just suck, and it is just noise. And then you got one in the middle is like, man, I don't really, you could just tell they don't really know what
They don't
to
know what
do.
they're
They could
doing.
go either direction. They could
Yeah.
go engage, or they could turn into like, hey, this is annoying. You're out of here.
Exactly. And life does happen. Things happen in life. So yeah, you took that discovery flight and you're wanting to do it. And then all of a sudden, one day you wake up and your AC system isn't cooling your house. And
Probably why you're just saying you're probably not in your house right now, are you?
this is true. This is actually very true. Yeah, the
Just
coils freeze up.
perhaps life has happened to you as well.
life life has happened to me. Yeah, this is a true story. Yeah, my AC coils, the AC system died, froze up, it melted, leaked all over the furnace, and now I have to buy a new AC system and furnace. Was not expecting that.
That could have been money spent flying.
Yeah, a lot of money that could have paid for a lot of flying and other things. So, look, things happen, and it happens to all of us, and you are going to be met with unexpected expenses that you weren't planning on, and so but you got to stay in front of them. So yeah, you don't want to just oh, they booked a couple flights and then I never heard from them and they're gone. That may not necessarily be the case. things do happen. People are busy, so you need to be able to get that top of mind, stay in front of them so that when they are ready, they're like, "Oh, yeah, that's where I need to contact them and get back on this."
Yeah, and that works for flight schools. But what about like an FBO, someone that bought fuel and flew away? I mean, they literally didn't walk in your door as a repeat customer, right? Like
No,
someone who's come in for a flight school, right? They're going to keep, assuming they stick with the program, right? They're going to keep coming back
they're gonna keep
and
coming back,
follow
yeah.
through. But if you got someone who's cross country flying or just out flying on an evening, stop in because it's along the route, right? And
Mhm.
they just get fueled and are gone again. How do you stay in contact with them?
Yeah, that's a great question, yeah, because the flight school one's actually pretty easy, but the FBO might be a little different.
Hmm.
So, when you have people coming through transient traffic, whatever, and they're landing and they're coming here, have a way, a systematic way to be able to contact them. You know who they are. You know the plane because it just landed, and have some type of form, have something set up to be like, "Hey, thanks for coming here. Can we get your name and email address?" A way to stay in contact with them. Obviously, you need something that you can opt in, right?
Right.
And
Yep.
don't just like, "Oh, they landed here. Let me go quick scribble down. Okay, look up the registration. I'm going to start sending them stuff, right? Because that's what I need to do." Yeah, don't do that. Talk to them. Be like, "Hey, why don't you join our email list so you can stay up to date as to what's happening here at the airport, things that are happening locally in the community." We talked a lot last week with Jen about getting engaged in the local community, not just the aviation community.
Correct. Yeah.
So, that's really important. So have a way so that every time somebody lands and stops at your FBO, you have a way of contacting them again. Because, maybe they're on their way to Oshkosh. We use that example a lot
Right.
because it's an easy one and it's a good one. So that next year they're gonna stop there again, or maybe they're just looking for a quick trip. Be like, "Oh yeah, they really took care of us. That was a cool little town. Let's go back there."
Right.
Because then you can get
Yeah.
them to come back.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's get into the mechanics of this, right? Let's because when we tell you the tell an aviation owner, let's say that go build an email list, a lot of them are gonna try to DIY it, right? I mean, it's the same as like if you tell someone, "Hey, you should go like fix part of your house," they're gonna try it themselves, and that's probably gonna fail unless they're a contractor, right? And let's face it, these people who work in the FBO, the managers, the team there, uh, most of them are probably not in that role because
No.
they have a marketing
Yeah, you're right.
background or a communications background or anything like that. So they try to just blind carbon copy 100 people from a personal Outlook or Gmail account, and tell
Not a good idea.
everyone all the time that may be listening, and it's a total flop, right? It just comes that's the noise that comes across. There's no strategy to it. So let's
Oh,
get into that and the mechanics of it.
yeah, and first thing we do need to make sure we specify this. Do not try to run and build a list out of a personal inbox, right? Your own personal email. Don't start taking everybody and just loading them into Outlook or Gmail or whatever software you're using and trying to just blast out everything from there. Like that's gonna get you nowhere fast.
Hmm.
That's actually going to put you backwards because then you can risk getting in trouble with compliance in the law and blacklisted. Uh, a lot of bad things can happen. So to do this correctly and to do this professionally, what you need to use is some email software like HubSpot, Mailchimp, and there's a lot of other ones out there, right? Those are just two of them.
Yeah.
But you
Yep.
need a way that you can actually manage correctly that email list and you need to stay compliant.
Yeah, absolutely. You really do need a dedicated system here, and the number one reason is compliance, and then respect. I mean, respect's not going to get you in any trouble, but to tell you what, a lack of respect can get you in trouble in other
Yes.
ways. So, yeah, a dedicated system that is compliant is key here. Your software must have kind of an airtight, automated way for people to natively subscribe and then also unsubscribe. You hope that doesn't happen, but it needs to have that
you,
capability.
you got to
If a
have that.
user wants off your list, they need a one-click solution that can handle it, and these kind of systems can help you do that, where a traditional, like, Gmail or Outlook or Yahoo Mail are not going to do that. So you need
Correct.
something that's dedicated and specifically designed to do this, and you need to make sure that you are compliant with the law.
Yes, yeah. You don't want to get fined by doing this the wrong way, which I have seen people do. And even years ago, before some of the laws came in, actually, when I was uh, doing the technology at my church, this actually did happen where they were managing it just from a local account. The secretary was doing it, and then people accidentally clicked spam, and then like the domain got blacklisted, and it was a really, really big problem to solve. So don't do that. And then here's the other here's the superpower of an email software that is designed for this. And it's not just sending newsletters like, oh, I'm going to blast something out. It's automation, right? We had even talked about that last week, especially
Hmm.
with the E-Myth book, actually 2 weeks ago now, building in that automation. And that's the great thing about some of the software is that it can just run 24/7 in the background. It's all automated. You build that system and it can handle it automatically on its own, and you don't have to do anything. It's hands off,
Right.
right?
Yeah. Break that down. What does the real automation look like on the for this type of flight line operation?
Yeah, exactly. So, say you got a prospect, and they're kind of poking around, and they have a form to fill out. You have a form on your website to fill out, and say they're interested. They're a private pilot, and they're going. You know what? I want to get my instrument rating. I've been flying. It's time to be able to get my instrument rating, and so they can. You have a form on there that says, "Hey, for more information, we'll send you this guide." Whatever it might be, and they fill it out, captures all of that information, and then because it was on their instrument rating page on your website, it tags it as they're interested in instrument. So they're an instrument prospect. And so the system will automatically launch a pre-built sequence of emails. So like day one, they might get their pricing guide. Um, Day three or something like that, it may send some case studies about why people have gotten their instrument and why it's important and the safety factors. And day seven is like, oh, okay, let's get you on the calendar, let's get you booked, let's talk to it. So you can have that all built out and are running automatically. So if they're like
Hmm.
looking in like 2 in the morning, it starts the system, right?
Right.
There's nothing manual about it,
Yeah.
and
The beauty of it is
so you can
the
just
owner isn't trying to
let
do
it
this
go,
alone.
and then yes. Yes, build a system so you don't have to do it all on your own. And then you can have different lists, right? So then you're gonna have like people are just interested in your private, people interested in your instrument rating, charter, any of those things. You can start to have the list. So then you can like, hey, I'm gonna make a monthly newsletter specific to instrument rating or charter or whatever it might be, and you can just select that list and send that out to those people.
Yeah, and the beauty of that is that the owner is not the one having to be typing out these emails every
Yeah,
week and trying to spend their time to do this. They have a lot going on already, right? So you kind of build a sequence once that establishes, you plug it into the software. It acts like an automated salesperson to keep your flight line full while you're sleeping, right? It can run in the background. It runs at
right.
night. It's an automated system, and you're not the one having to do it.
Yeah, it's exactly right. So if someone's looking for something in the middle of the night, they finally got around to it. Everybody's sleeping in their house. They're like, "Ah, I really want to do this," and they get on there and they can look. That system starts right away. So that's really, really important to have that system again. And we talked about social media in building your own stuff versus rented, and to kind of circle back to that is with social media, we actually want to get people off of social media. And I know that sounds kind of odd,
Hmm.
but social media isn't something your own. We already talked about that. It is great for networking and building those relationships and building those connections that you otherwise may not be able to do. But once you start connecting with them, you want to make sure you get them off of that platform as quickly as you can.
Hmm.
Get it into your email, even if they're not ready to opt in to your newsletter, at least continue the conversation over email. It's way easier
Yeah.
to control.
Yeah, that's a really vital point. You have to migrate them from the rented space to the owned space, even if they aren't ready to opt into that automated
Yeah,
newsletter, right?
exactly.
But you still need to kind of find a way to bridge that gap, get them out of the LinkedIn DMs and into a direct one-on-one email and conversation where you can message back and forth without a tech platform standing between you and them, right? And I wouldn't suggest a mass text message approach either. I think that's no different than just
Yeah,
getting
don't do that.
lost in the noise, right? But you do need a way to kind of migrate them off of the rented space and get them into that own space that you control.
Yeah, exactly. You need to secure your data. You own that. That is your list. That is your group. That is your prospect list, your current clients. You need to own that data so that you can stay on top of mind, stay on top of it, own that
Hmm.
conversation, take ownership of the platform that you're using so that you can own it. And, like, oh, you want to message that person back. And then all of a sudden, Instagram servers are down
Right.
and you can't reach
Right.
you can't
Yeah, they
reach
do some
them
update to it and
because
you lost
because that
that, right? So we need to go to a kind of a full deep dive
exactly,
on that kind of later here. But for today, if you want to fix the
absolutely,
revenue side of your hanger right now, the email list is kind of where to
it
start with,
is.
right?
Absolutely. That bottom line is you need a list of trusting clients and prospects. That is your number one asset because that goes back to leads and follow up, right? So it doesn't matter how many planes you have, doesn't matter all the physical infrastructure.
Hmm.
And that's all super important, but you need to be able to get those leads in and also keep following up. Then you can get that conversion so that they're renting your planes, booking the charters, and maybe leasing hangers, whatever.
Hmm.
But don't leave that all on your social media pages because you
Yeah,
you don't own that platform.
exactly. 100%. You're stop renting your audience, right? Start
Yeah.
owning the audience, own them, right? Build the automation and back it up. So yeah, good discussion on that today, Brandon.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot around emailing. Actually, when I was writing this, I had to cut a lot out, so I have a feeling we're going to be doing a follow up to this. But I think at least now we're starting to the point where like, okay, let's build some automation. Let's start tying all these things in, owning it, building it together. And look, if you're listening to this right now and you want to learn a little bit more about that, obviously you can contact us. But there are some great books out there. We already talked about Michael Gerber's The E-Myth book just a couple weeks ago. Is a fantastic. Again, it's building those systems. Another great one is the No BS Guide to Direct Marketing for
Hmm.
Non-Direct Marketing Businesses by Dan Kennedy. And um, direct marketing, it just what it says. It's direct, it's marketing, and you want that response back. It's to get that two-way conversation going as quickly as you can to stay in front of them, talk to them. And those books really kind of outline these systems in automation and how those systems kind of work together. So obviously, if you want another second set of eyes, we're here to help you. But those are some good resources that you can pick up on your own, and we're going to go deeper into some of these things and each part of these building blocks here on the podcast to be able to help build these assets so that you can get these systems running.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, do the reading, build your list, protect your ramp, and you know what? We'll see you next time
Yes,
on the base leg, turning base.
yes. We will catch up with you next week. Hopefully, you got some good value out of this one. Be sure to like and subscribe. We got lots more coming up soon.
Thanks for flying with us on Turning Base. If you found value in today's episode, make sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your team. Want more tips and tools for marketing your aviation business? Visit us at readymarketing.net. Until next time, keep your wings level, your message clear, and your altitude high.